You are listening to the Savage FINcast, Episode 10, Soapboxes and Street Clothes.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, back again sooner than you think, for another exciting episode. I am, of course, Jim Purcell.
And I'm Craig Olson.
I'm Raven Perez.
Back again, Mr. Perez.
Yes, always a pleasure. Just as much as I can. As if you guys have a shortage, I hope I can jump in there and help out.
Yeah.
Raven, we didn't talk about this last episode on episode 9, but you have a pretty awesome webcomic. At least I think it's pretty damn awesome.
Thank you.
Can you talk about it to the listeners? Let them know what you do, because everyone should know about this.
Sure. Thank you. It's just basically, I think Savage Dragon fans will probably connect super easy with it, just because they're already reading a book that's kind of the same in terms of it's a creator's baby. And basically this is what I've got going on. Like, Dragon is clearly what Erik wants to do the rest of his life. These are characters that I'm just making my dream book. And before the internet, I would draw these stupid characters just, and show them to siblings. And these are actually super old characters. Like, I made them up before kindergarten, but, clearly they've grown with me. The new stuff's pretty raunchy. So
it's amazing. I really dig your artwork. I mean, what would you say your influences are for art? I mean, it's kind of got that manga style in a way.
I'm all over the map. I definitely owe like manga a huge nod. But then again, I'm an American comic nerd just as much. So, I like a lot of different guys. I've been told by like other my peers that they can just pick my style apart. So but I like Otley, Larsen. I didn't like Kirby as much, but I had a friend say that they see Kirby stuff in mine, and that's definitely coming through, Savage Dragon. That has nothing to do with, like, being a genuine Kirby fan, so. Right. But Eisner, any of these guys, anybody that's doing anything cool, if you see it, you hope, as an artist, you can learn from it. So I wish I had more one guy, but just anything cartoony, fun. I just like a fun... Just if the picture's making me laugh and it's fun to draw, that's kind of who I'm drawing to. So
yeah, it's a lot of humor in it. It's pretty damn funny, and it's it seems like it's whatever you want to do, you kind of just do.
It's that whole independent like comic spirit. Like people are always come at you with you should work for Marvel or DC and I'm just like, if I ever ended up at those places, you'd know I'd failed.
Yeah,
they wouldn't let me do this book I'm doing.
Yeah, it definitely has a kind of, it's got a raunchy streak, and it's got a really manic, feel to it from what I've read. I guess on a couple levels, like it reminds me like early Tank Girl or
cool
stuff like that. Really indie type stuff.
Do we even talk about the title of this or the website?
Yeah, I don't think you mentioned that.
Sorry, yeah. It's called ravensdojo.com. I thought that was a super common word when I made up that URL, but apparently not everybody's seen Karate Kid. But dojo.com, and it's just really these characters, and they live in this place, and they're the two main characters. It's funny, Raven, the titular character as it was, is actually like one of the most minor characters. But it's actually named after the place where they all live, which happens to be his dojo. And the two main characters are actually a complete moron who's super strong and a pervert. And, you kind of find out in the comic that maybe these are the two guys that saved everybody, a ton. They're actually, former world famous heroes, but for whatever reason, as you read, it's important that they be unknown. They've been erased from everybody's memory. They pretty much don't exist. And of course, it's cool because I'm a superhero fan. It's not tights and fights, definitely.
Right.
But if you like big adventure and fight comics and you like to laugh and you don't mind dirtiness, then I think you're going to like it.
Yeah. It seems like you get a ton of hits, too. I mean, there's always a ton of either comments or just retweets or shares of each strip. I mean, how many of these strips have you done now? You have a lot under your belt because this has been going on for a while.
I've just cleared 420 some pages.
Holy crap.
I wish it could be more. When you see it's funny because you're not supposed to look at things, but when you see where other where professionals are. I've been doing this. The reboot happened 5 years ago, but so that's when I started doing stuff more seriously. I said I'm going to do it in color. I'm going to do it as often as possible. I'm going to really pour a lot of effort into the page and make it print worthy. Mm-hmm. And the reboot happened maybe 5 years ago, so I'm dying to do way more than I'm doing. But 420 some plus pages, and I've been very blessed. I have a lot of way more famous than me friends, so
that's awesome.
They've been helping me out with. I've been very lucky to end up a part of famous comic networks like KeenSpot, which a lot of Image Comics made it to.
Yeah.
Oddly enough,
I heard KeenSpot wasn't that great of a deal when it was still. Is it still a thing? I don't even know what KeenSpot's status currently is.
It's funny because KeenSpot was definitely one of the premier. It was the comic network, and it kind of still means a lot, but none of the heavy hitters, webcomic-wise, are like KeenSpot Comics. And KeenSpot changed up their deal. That's why I left. But there was no bad blood or anything. They just basically, they are advertising driven, so they needed to get a tighter rein on their content. So basically they had to change up the flow of the deal. And so for a lot of people who were like myself, it was just as attractive to go on and do your own thing. Anyway, so I parted ways, but they're still going. And like I said, they're always doing something weird and interesting. Like I said, some of the Image books, I feel like Avengilin was drawn by a KeenSpot artist and is now on KeenSpot. And that was an Image book, with Rob Liefeld's Extreme relaunch.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. Those guys have their fingers in a lot of different stuff. So, but I've been very blessed to be, associated with a lot of super talented people, and I have a lot of fans. Nowhere near Penny Arcade or PvP or anything, but yeah, we'll give it time. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to do this as long as I live. So it's cool. I'm excited to have people that. If you do something so weird and personal, it's cool to have people excited for it. So awesome. I think I would like Savage Dragon fans to give it a try. I think they'll dig it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it was cool when I read it.
Yeah. So if you like super strong monkeys and perverted dragons and
the usual.
No, but it is fun, and like you said, fans of Dragon, people that like long winding tales of anything goes, and whatever you throw at them, it's just for you, and lots of humor, and you're not you have a tolerance for some perverted stuff, but
just a little bit.
You ever meet me? I'm one of the filthiest people probably you'll ever meet. But I come by it honestly.
No, it's cool. It's not shocking or super dirty or I don't know. But it's fun. Take it from me. Give it a try. It's one
of those comics that's more suggestive than it is in your face, I guess. I mean,
I don't know. Did you see the last?
No, I haven't read the list. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
But no, it's fun. It's free. It's online. Check it out. It's
issue based. I think is my huge pride and joy is when I started there really weren't a lot of issue based comics. Like, so I'm going for like 32 pages, and I might do a part 2 or part 3. But like, you really don't have to. Even if you're like looking at this and you're like, oh my god, I don't want to read 400 pages of this. You could read issue 1 and 2 and issue like 5 and 6, and it's a little story arc, just to give you a taste of stuff. Kind of like, so I think for fans of American comics, like I said, that's where I'm coming from. So I hope that you guys enjoy that a lot.
Cool.
Cool.
So that's ravensdojo.com. So RAVENSDOGO.com. Check it out.
J-O.
What did I say, Geo?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, God, I'm already sending people to the wrong website.
Here, now I got to hurry up and register that real quick.
ravensdojo.com. Do it. So, Jim, just let's move on and talk about real quick what's on our pull pile lately. What have you been reading?
Well, currently, I'm reading a whole bunch of stuff, but what's really got me excited right now is a little series coming out of Boom Studios called the Hypernaturals. I'm loving it. It's written by, you might recognize these names, Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. The reason why you might know them is because they wrote some of the best cosmic comics at DC and Marvel. They did a run on the Legion of Superheroes back in the late 90s, and they did Nova. They worked on Annihilation and the Nova spinoff and Guardians of the Galaxy, which is being turned into a movie in the next couple of years by Marvel based on basically what Dan Abnett and Lanning created. Hypernaturals is just a really cool series. It's if you read it, it's very similar in structure to the Legion of Superheroes. It's about a far future team of superheroes basically, and they protect they protect us space from dangers. But it opens up where the latest incarnation of the team has been wiped out, and in order to fill the gap, they have to pull in all these reservists and rookies and retired members, and it's got a really good cast, and it's got a really good setup, and the only real problem is the art is kind of iffy. It has 2 artists, and one of them is really good, and the other one is just kind of okay, and they kind of switch back and forth within the same issue. I think it's kind of
I don't like when they do that.
It's kind of noticeable, but I'm sure they're doing it for cost reasons or making sure it's done on time issues. I think that's my only real issue with it.
Yeah, that always throws me out of a book when like the art changes. I can't handle it.
Does.
Yeah, actually, there's another series that Boom Studios is putting out that's also really good. It's called Extermination. It's written by Simon Spurrier. It's really cool because it's about superheroes, but it's also a post-apocalyptic story. Basically, the world ends, and there's some alien invasion that completely wipes out the world that the superheroes failed to stop. And now you've got a Batman character and a Doctor Doom character teaming up to try to survive in this nightmare.
That sounds bad.
And again,
that sounds good.
It is good. I think Boom Studios, ever since I think what happened was Mark Waid's what's it called? Irredeemable ended. They've kind of expanded their superhero quote unquote comics just to try to fill the gap. I think they've done a really good job, especially between Hypernaturals and Extermination.
Cool. Sounds good.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
What are they like? Did those series just start, or are they?
Oh no, around? Yeah, they just started. Hypernaturals' first issue was from Free Comic Book Day this year, and Extermination came out a month later for $1 first issue.
Cool.
But they're also regular ongoing. They're $4 an issue, so it's another one of the cases of comics getting more expensive. Yeah.
Nothing we could do about it at this point, I guess.
Really. About all you can do is go 100% digital and wait a month after they come out and save $1 or $2. It's about what you can do. So, Craig, you were reading anything interesting?
A couple of weeks ago, I think last episode we talked about, I went to the Baltimore Comic-Con, and I was flipping through the dollar bins, and I happened upon almost the entire series of Big Bang comics, which came out of Image around 96 to 2005. So these aren't recent books, but they're fun books. I had a couple of random issues, It's basically an anthology series by Gary Carlson, who, again, we talked about his Megaton comics and him writing and co-creating Vanguard. So he's got a lot of tie-in with Erik's characters, and has done a lot of work with Erik. He created Big Bang Comics with an artist, writer called, his name's Chris Ecker, I believe. I don't know really much about his background, but anyway, it's an anthology series. It lasted 35 issues at Image, and it's pretty damn neat. It's it focuses more on... What's that?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize it ran 35 issues. For some reason, I thought it was like a series of one-offs and specials.
What it is it's 35 consecutive issues, but each issue is kind of like a different character or a different time or whatever. So it kind of gives you that feeling, kind of like what Erik's doing with the next issue special.
Right, that's kind of the feel I got from when I don't actually own any, but I stumbled across them occasionally.
Yeah, it's like an anthology. They don't kind of continue from one issue to the next, but one issue they'll have the Night Watchman, which is like the Dick Sprang kind of style Batman, but it's Night Watchman, kind of looks like Batman without the horns. They have an Ultraman, which is like a old Action Comics Superman. They have Blitz, who's like Flash. They use Mighty Man, Erik Larsen's Mighty Man, as like a Captain Marvel type guy, and they do him in like the CC Beck style. And they actually reprinted some of those. I think it was in issue 50. Is that right? Of Savage Dragon.
I notice I'm looking at DragonFan.net, and you've got that awesome pinup of Mighty Man from that.
Yeah. That's the style that it looks like a CC Beck Captain Marvel. And they did quite a few stories with that, which is really, really cool. It's like the next best thing to Captain Marvel from CC Beck. They do like a Thunder Girl, who's kind of like Mary Marvel. They do a Mr. US, who's like a Jack Kirby, Joe Simon, Captain America. They even do like the panels the same way. So like over 35 issues, they always like focused on a different character. And sometimes they didn't even just do like Silver and Golden Age. They have a really cool issue. Big Bang Comics number 7 is like a Jim Starlin kind of 70s type cosmic tale with starring Mighty Man, which is really, really cool. And it's drawn in that kind of style. So it's just kind of like the best of, the different styles through the ages with these like characters. And they try to give you the feel like, these books have been around and these characters are old,
So it plays it kind of straight. It's it isn't like it plays with these archetypes, but in a in like the way from their particular eras, they they don't like play it mean or anything. It's
not straight on, and they style the pages with like, they make it look like the old comics, or like the one I'm looking at now. I just told you about the Mighty Man one that seems like it's a 70s comic. It's kind of got like the bullpen type sheet in the front. It's it looks just like kind of like a Jim Starlin art. They have a cool letters page. It's just fun. The back page they have join the Junior Watchmen of America for $3 for shipping and handling, and you get a real mask and a secret code and code decoder. But it's real neat. It's all like kind of throwback stuff, but really fun.
In color, or is it in black and white? Because I think I remember some of the issues I saw were in black and white.
Yeah, black and white. Savage Dragon actually. Oh, some are color. I think they stopped after like issue 5.
Yeah, I remember Dragon had a couple appearances.
Yeah, and Erik Larsen actually drew Dragon on one of the covers. So like Dragon kind of goes back through time or something like that.
Yeah.
I haven't gone and read through all of them, but they are a joy just to flip through, and they're real fun. I especially like the CC Beck style Captain Marvels.
That's a heck of a find.
Mighty Mans. Yeah, and especially these, they're hard to find, I'm not going to lie. Like, you might be able to find some here and there on eBay. They weren't super popular. So they were $1 a piece. I dropped like, I think I'm missing like 4 or 5 issues out of the 35 issue run. So it cost me almost like $30, but you know what? It was like, I was like one of those things, like if I don't buy them all now, it's going to be hard to track them all down. So.
And they were all there. You got every issue.
Yeah, I think I'm missing like 5 issues.
Okay. Yeah, still though, that's for $1 a piece at a con. That's probably a really good deal.
Yeah, and probably most people don't even know what Big Bang comics are and don't really care and see it in black and white. So, like I said, I don't know. To me, it was like, wow, it was like jackpot, when you go through these dollar bins and you're like just looking for it. Like I had a couple of things I wanted, but I stumbled across this and I was like, I have to buy this now.
It is cool, yeah. Whenever I go through there, I never find anything good, man. It's like they pulled these comics out of their walls, like they were insulating the comic shop with them.
Yeah, you do get some of those.
More Youngblood number 1s than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, Sleepwalker number 6 and Darkhawk number 7.
Violator number 1.
Yeah.
Chromium.
Yeah, Chromium edition. Yeah, so that's Big Bang. It's fun. Check it out if you can. They do have a website too that has all the covers. I think it's like bigbang.com or just Google it. Hopefully you don't get like any porn or anything like that. Large woman porn.
That's big, not gang.
Yeah, that's okay. True. Yeah, so that's it. What are you reading, Adam?
Oh,
Raven.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what he's reading.
Yeah, please cut that out. I'm looking at my agenda and it's got Adam's name. Raven, what are you reading?
Don't ever cheat. You'll make a terrible cheater.
No.
No, I'm actually. This isn't the newest book, but I went through a move, so I had to tell my shop to stop my pulls, and of course I'm easing back into things. But the most recent thing that's just been lighting my world on fire, I think I tore through it in like 2 days. Which it's huge, so that's it was a real endeavor. But the comic book history of comics by Fred Van Lint, Ryan Dunleavy, probably not names that super grab your attention. They had previously done, I think, the highest profile thing was Action Philosophers.
Mm-hmm.
But they also, from what I'm looking right now, it looks like. The writer's at least done a little bit of Marvel stuff, but nothing super notable. Like I see Halo, some Marvel Zombies, whatever. But I think that this book is awesome. The writer and artist, it's just a black and white book that does exactly what the title indicates. You've got a comic book that you get to read, and it shines a light on the history of, comics as an American creation. It goes a little bit before that, but it just talks about everything from Depression era to the influence of manga. If you had no idea why that stuff matters or even why it is the way it is or why there's, it sheds a lot of light on just things you probably didn't even realize, like why there's so little superhero influence in other countries. It's really awesome. It's researched. You're learning, it is history, but at the same time, it's in comic form. It's super easy to read.
Yeah.
And they take what they're giving you and they make it. It's all these interesting stories. There was a guy that was just about to leave his strip and he scratched a copyright symbol next to his name on the printing plate. And so when they ran it, because they didn't look on the printing plate, he was the copyright holder suddenly of all this back material and he became like a millionaire. And it's just all these really weird, awesome stories. And the comic book industry is insane. Yeah. And when you read this, you really get an idea for, the Tales from a Crypt editor who, killed his wife with an iron. It's just it was super ghoulish, and it was just art imitate. It's the fact that he was a Tales from the Crypt editor.
Yeah.
And there's a million little things like that. When you're reading it, every time you think, or at one point, Will Eisner is pretending to be a studio. So he has all these fake names, but they're just his name, they're anagrams. They're all just switched around.
It's 6 guys that are all him.
Yeah, and this other guy gets mad at him and doesn't want to hire Will Eisner, but he's trying to take Will Eisner's talent from his studio. So he's making up his aliases, trying to contact Will Eisner's aliases. And so you've got like, fake publishers trying to contact fake artists, because these two guys won't talk to each other, and they do a good job. It's amazing. You will be shocked, and I think anybody who is an American comic reader should read this just because they talk about the bubble burst. There's a bit in there about Image.
Oh, wow. So it's like right up to like now almost.
It is amazingly up to date. It talks a little bit about like web comics. I mean, it's up to date. It starts in the Yellow Kid, the very first comic character, and goes all. It gets really current. So it's cool.
What's the name of it again?
The Comic Book History of Comics. It is maybe a month or two old. It's by IDW. You can get it on Amazon or wherever. You get it from your comic store. But it's worth it. It's a super awesome page turner. You won't be able to put it down. And I recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. Awesome.
It's good.
I'll have to look for that. Cool. So shall we get into some Erik Larsen news for this episode?
Let's. And I guess the top of the news would be that, and it shocked everyone, but Supreme 68 will be Erik Larsen's last issue. Apparently, Erik said on Twitter, Supreme 68's going to be the last. It'll be an 80-page giant issue, so it's cool. It's oversized. It's going to have solo stories for Squeak, Sister Supreme, Lion-Headed Supreme, and the original Supreme. And, the cool thing is even though he's, jumping off the book sooner than what he wanted, it's clear he's setting this up so that there will be a lot of meat for whoever steps in next.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's very awesome. He just basically, stated that he had a million other projects of his own. So he had to get, something had to give. And, of course, Dragon fans, we know we've been waiting a while for this 181. So it's bittersweet.
Right. And I think, to be fair, too, some of the 181 weight has been because of his move as well. But, I mean, having to do Supreme on top, and I know he was doing a lot of the layouts for Corey Hampshire. It's got to eat a lot of his time as well.
Yeah, so it was cool to see him do other things. Definitely exciting because he is so, committed to Dragon. Sometimes it's, hard to even think of him doing other stuff, but then you get, Supreme was cool. So, yeah, he's got the Giant coming. 68 will be the last. It'll be a little bit, premature, but then it looks like we're getting, way more content. We're getting... issues these days are 20 pages at a lot of places.
Yeah.
Well, so, from just what looking at what it says, being 80 pages with solo stories, I'm gonna guess that the lead story will probably be something like 32 pages, and the rest will be backups. I wonder if Corey's gonna be drawing the whole thing, though. I'm curious how.
No, I talked to Erik about this. I talked to Erik in Baltimore when I was in Baltimore about it, and it sounds like he's going to have different guys.
Yeah, I assume that was probably going to be the case. That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Harry Carey, if he had to draw 80 pages,
Yeah. And I think, I don't think it's a secret, but even talking to Erik, it sounds like, it's going to be late.
No, impossible.
I think for 80 pages it'll be okay.
Yeah.
As a swan song, you can do worse than an 80-page giant. Butcher Baker number 8, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a good one.
It was nice, but I sure would have liked a little extra for my weight.
Yeah.
The
one thing you didn't mention that I think was kind of cool was that while this whole thing, when Erik was talking about this on Twitter, Rob Liefeld chimed in because I think someone asked, what's going on with Corey Hampshire, and Rob was like, Corey's great on the book, and he wouldn't leave him out of the picture once Erik moved on unless he wanted to move on as well. So, again, talking to Erik in Baltimore, I was like, what's going to happen after you leave? Has someone been chosen to take over? And Erik's like, I don't, not that I know of yet. And he's like, I don't, that's if, Supreme even does continue, because he's like, it's not like the sales are lighting up the charts. So who knows, what Liefeld's plan is, if, he's going to continue.
It's really up to Liefeld to decide if he's going to hire someone and keep the book going.
Yeah, it sounds like he's happy with Corey, though, and wants to keep him on if he wants to stay on.
If you've been following Corey, on Facebook too, I mean, he does like Free Sketch Friday and just different drawing constantly. He's just constantly pumping out art. And, he's getting better and better. I mean, he was great anyway, but he's getting better and better all the time. So, I'd hate to see him move on.
Yeah. His stuff is awesome.
I wonder if he could write it solo.
I don't know. He's going to be a heavy hitter, though, so, someday soon, I think.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I'm not sure.
Like you said, that. Oh, go ahead.
I'm not sure if I'm going to keep following Supreme after Erik leaves, though. That's the big question mark over the whole thing, because I need to make some cuts, and I'm only reading it for Erik, and it really depends on who they get if they replace him with someone. Really
all those extreme books went up $1 too. They're all $3.99.
Yeah,
now.
Profit went up $1. I got a little annoyed about that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I wonder. I thought they were all critically acclaimed. I did not expect them to go up in price. But we all know critical acclaim doesn't equate sales sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, critical darling is not essentially sales success. So.
I mean, you look at a lot of those Image books, and they sell, between 5,000 to 6,000 copies. It's like, it's tough.
Oh yeah,
it's tough out there.
There's also a little bit of Frank Fosco news. He has a new comic coming out. It's called GRONK. He's apparently the artist. He will be. Wait a minute. It's written by someone named Cortland Brugger. GRONK is an alien caveman who's just trying to survive on a primordial world filled with bizarre and dangerous creatures. It's currently available, I believe, on print on demand through indieplanet.com.
Yeah.
I think Craig also had the pleasure of reading an early digital copy of it, and I have to say it was pretty fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun little ride. If you're a fan of Frank's art, I mean, his art's fantastic on it. I know, talking to Frank Cortland Brugger, I guess that's how you say his last name. He's a writer-creator. I think he's also an artist, and he did all the designs for Frank. So Frank's working off his designs, but it's pretty fun. It reminds you of like a kind of like Jack Kirby Devil Dinosaur type tale.
Definitely a lot of weird creatures, a lot of kind of cartoony, violent action.
Yeah, it's fun.
I like what I'm looking at the little digital preview here, and I really, really like the art. I love the designs too.
Yeah, it's neat. It reminds you of something you would see on like a Jim Henson type, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of reminded
like Dark
me
Crystal or something.
It kind of reminded me of like Usagi Yojimbo, or I don't know, maybe you guys have heard of Gone, the manga.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the dinosaur.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that, I guess. I mean. Yeah. That sort of comic, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like Kubert's Tor or something like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I like to see anytime there's like this alien world, like, so little's recognizable as something else. So
yeah, and that's
cool.
what you get with this, is there's nothing human on this at all. And Frank's a great guy. We had him on episode 3 of the FINcast. He's all around nice guy. Like Jim was saying, Frank was sending us some preview pages to check out and get our opinions on it. He's just he's an all-around class act. So if you like his work, or even if you don't, just support an artist out there who's also a fan of Savage Dragon, and check it out. You might, if you didn't like the Vanguard strip for whatever reason, or Ethran, this is completely different, but I think his art is amazing, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So give it a shot.
I know I'll be checking it out. I didn't get in on previews or nothing, so I'll definitely be checking that out.
Definitely. So, should we talk about Savage Dragon 181 now?
No, we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll skip it.
Let's skip it.
Yeah,
hear
let's
about
just
that.
Jump straight to the letters page because there's a lot to cover there.
It's been a while since we've had a new issue of Savage Dragon in our hands.
Yeah, it has been a while. It's been like 3 months or 2 months or some period of time that I've lost track of, which isn't good.
I was fiending. I was having withdrawal. It was bad. It's when it's like the only book you're getting, that means that you're like going for like 3 months without really comics.
Yeah, definitely.
And Supreme only goes so far to filling the hole.
Yeah. So I had made some heavy cuts. I was down to like Invincible, Walking Dead, and Savage Dragon, and I guess Supreme too. But like, yeah, it was like super skimpy. I was just like, oh man, you gotta have patience though. It was worth it. It was a good issue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think from our last review, I think Savage Dragon 180, Jim and I were like, man,
we were a bit critical
wasn't the
about
best. Yeah, but I think 181 made up for it. I enjoyed it, and I wonder if a lot of that has to do with it being like 90% focused on the character of Dragon for me.
Are you guys not a fan of the Malcolm book?
No, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Angel. I like her as a character and her story arc and all that other good stuff. Malcolm, I like as a character. I like his purpose, and I like what was done with him to make him the lead character. I don't know, maybe just annoyed that Angel isn't the star. You can call it Savage Dragon, have Angel be the lead character. I'm just saying.
She is Angel Dragon.
She sure is.
I like the Dragon character. It's gonna take me. I do like Malcolm, but it's gonna take me a while to warm up to accept him as the lead. And I'm sure it will happen, but it's always great to see like almost like an old friend kind of show back up again, and it felt like an old Savage Dragon issue.
It was definitely.
And this is the first Dragon heavy issue since 175. I mean, he's had much more of a role since then, but this issue is mostly him with only like 2 pages, 3 pages set on Earth. With the others.
Yeah, and I wasn't a fan of the whole invasion story arc that much, and I'm glad that we're kind of moving on, and this is kind of moving to the next chapter. It's good. It's good stuff.
I was digging Invasion. I really, I like to see, sort of, I guess, Vanguard's war finally hit Earth. It was that was the big deal for me. Mm-hmm. So it was cool to see this often talked about thing, because that's the reason he's even around.
Vanguard.
So, Vanguard, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just he's sort of there, and all of a sudden the war, which is just text for so long, it's just a thing that was thrown out there. Oh, by the way, I'm here to keep this war from coming here. Okay, it's like it's real. You get to see these creatures. They are really badass. I definitely see the criticisms you guys gave last time totally had legs. But, on the counterpoint, I really found a lot to enjoy about it. I like that this was a good it had a lot of good closure to it.
Yeah.
So I'm cool. I'm ready to move on. It had good pacing. I'm ready for it to be done. So looks like they're moving on.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the lack of a title page? For the past, I don't know how many issues now, we've had a title page in the first page.
I almost want to say that started back with Savage World, like issue 76.
Yeah.
I want to say that's been the case ever since then. Don't quote me on that, but it just feels like that was the case.
I think it has been.
There would even occasionally be multiple title pages within a single issue.
Yeah, different chapters, kind of like a issue of Commandy or something.
So it almost means like over 100 issues.
Yeah.
Did the title page thing.
It was. I don't know. I don't miss them in a way. They call that interior page the second cover. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I agree. I honestly, after, I don't know, for a while, I've been kind of annoyed by it because it almost feels like it eats up a page of story to have it every issue. And I think when story pages are a premium at only 20 per issue, every page has to count for something.
Yeah.
And, it's cool, but it's not every issue cool, I guess.
Yeah, I was, again, in Baltimore at the Comic-Con talking to Eric about that, and he was like, whoa, what do you think about it? And my answer to him was, it's had its run. I mean, I know he likes to change things up and do different things, so he did it for maybe like 100 issues now, and let's go back to the way it was before. And Gavin Higginbotham from the boards and from the FINcast has brought up a good point of he liked it without the title pages because like when it was collected for the trade, it would just kind of flow right through and it wouldn't be broken up by like a title page.
Right.
So I can see it that way too. But yeah, I think you're right too, Jim. Like it's there's more. You get more of a page now. The title doesn't take up that top half.
And in fact, I'm kind of looking at this digitally, as we go through, and it is cool just because the first page, I mean, you open the issue and bam, you're right into the story.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I like it. When you flip it open and there's a title page, usually the cover has done a decent job to give you a preview of what's coming up. Unless it's like Dragon floating in space with a torn outfit,
Yeah.
But I mean, I won't miss it. I mean, it's cool. It was cool. I'm glad he did it. Actually, it was neat design wise. But right. It's cool.
Well,
New stuff.
Here's my opinion on that. I think it works if every issue is like a standalone story, like it used to be in the Silver Age and Golden Age, where you'd have the title story and that would be the story, and then next issue you'd have another story. But for a long time now, we've had multi-issue stories, and you don't really need a title page for every installment of a longer-running story. I mean, I think that's just my general opinion on that.
Right.
Is that I just think it works a little better without. Maybe have it at the start. Have it as a way to mark the start of your story arc.
Yeah. I'd be down with that. All right, I want to say something real quick before we get away. You want to talk about this issue belonging to Dragon? The silhouette on the interior page with the credits would appear to be Dragon's instead of Malcolm's.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
That's a pretty sharp nose.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't notice that. I'll have to go look through my other issues.
Actually, I was just looking at the silhouette, but I was looking at it because if you hold it up to the light, it looks like his head's full of stars, which is kind of cool.
Carl Sagan.
This, and the thing with like these issues too, with like Dragon and the spaceship, the coloring is like so off the wall between, like, they always do the backgrounds of the spaceship that like real rich red, and they always, like, I found it odd this issue, like they weren't wearing, well, I guess towards the end they were, but they always, like, the Krylians or Krylians or however you say it, they always wear like the funkiest outfits that are just like, they must be colorblind. But what did you guys think about, like, a lot of this issue, like the first half of this issue with the fight, the backgrounds are just white.
Well,
totally, like,
I had a thought about that. I think that's generally consistent with the interiors of the ship from previous. Mm-hmm. I mean, on the first page you see he's in basically a room that's all red. And I think that's been
always
the case.
Like the color of his like private chambers, I think, or something. It seems
right, but
like.
It's always like a solid color for like the top, for the ceilings and the floors. I think it's more to make a suggestion that the rooms are much larger than you can possibly see.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to make things look like huge, I think. Right. And not claustrophobic, because I think that's kind of what it does, especially with this second page splash page. It really makes it seem like it has no ceiling, I guess. So it feels like it's a huge arena. If you like drew a roof of some kind, it would like feel more claustrophobic.
I'll agree with that. Yeah, as a design choice, yeah. I mean, the solid flat colors, opening it wide up, yeah, it definitely creates. I mean, if there was, what would be there? Like you said, like some generic spaceship interior roof. I mean, it doesn't really. It's been done before, so it is kind of a cool thing. Like visually, that's kind of how the interior of their ship has always looked. So it didn't bother me.
Because once you get later on to like Earth scenes, they have backgrounds, and it kind of creates a separation between if you're on Earth or if you're in the spaceship. So I think on one hand, yeah, it's probably an artistic shortcut, But on the other hand, stylistically, it's consistent with whatever's come before.
Right. And so
it'd be different if it was like looked one way completely different before in previous issues, and then suddenly there was just no backgrounds. But like that's kind of the way it's always been.
Like I want to imagine like the ceiling is like one huge fluorescent light, and you just can't see the detail, and it's like far off. I guess that's kind of how I visualize it.
Yeah.
It's like they're fighting in an Apple store. Everything's white, glowing.
Bunch of freaky guys with green fins on their head.
Geniuses.
So basically what we get here was the opening scene is, you know, Dragon's race is still all freaked out that they, you know, that Calyptus and all the Tyranian Combine has been massacred by Dragon. Here's a question for you guys. Now, last issue, Dragon dropped one of those kind of like gas bombs like Kerr did on Earth. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
So, I mean, Calyptus is a big planet. You got to think there are some like Vanguard's people, like the Cliptians or however you say their names. You got to think that some of them have survived. Like if the Earth was totally invaded, there's got to be like some areas of the Earth where humans would survive somewhere. You know, whether it's the rainforest or whatever.
Well, I think the planet had been occupied for a long time, because if I remember correctly, that Vanguard story that basically revealed that his race had been conquered was like way back in like 150 or maybe even 125 or something.
Yeah.
It was a while. Basically, you're right. I mean, it's a superhero
So if there was any
story.
hope for any of those guys, like any of that race to be alive, basically Dragon just killed them.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if, I think Kerr's devices were tailor-made for human biology, so theoretically he would have modified them to be tailored to...
That's true. I didn't think about that.
So it may not affect Vanguard's people if there were any survivors.
I was kind of surprised, too. I mean, that's an excellent point. It's funny because it kind of shows like a Kerr trait carrying over a little bit.
Yes.
Like it's just an afterthought. Nah.
Like modifying it to, just pulling out this poison. Like, does he know? Is that a recipe he knows? Or where'd that come from?
He's the Emperor. I think he just told somebody, do this. And
Yeah.
they did it because he's the boss.
They had that bit where he was shooting. He was just mowing down those guys with the guns that they had.
Yeah.
And he was sort of like, like those guns were going to be such an awesome thing. The next issue, poison.
Yeah.
Just poison them.
Well, Dragon's always... I've made this observation before, I believe, that Dragon has always been sort of ruthless in his methods. He's like he gives you a chance, but if you're a danger to others, he'll take you down permanently. He has no qualms about that.
Right.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And, and he makes the argument in this issue that how dangerous and how genocidal the people he wiped out were, so he has no remorse for them.
Yeah. And still his son, Krull, really isn't going for it, so challenges him to a death match, which seems a little extreme to me, but I guess maybe that's their religion.
Well, that's the thing. Dragon calls him on the bullshit hypocrisy that entails. Having something like this in your way of life that you claim is a pacifistic, peaceful one is just why? What? Who thought that was a great idea?
Right.
I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, let's talk about this. Krull and Dragon are having a good old-fashioned beatdown, except for the fact that Krull is terrible at everything, apparently.
Old glass jaw Krull.
Yeah, I think it's his youth, and I mean, look at how many villains and how much experience. Dragon's like 50 years old. I mean, even though he's 50 years old, he's not like got the body of a 50-year-old human. He's still a pretty strong dude. And he's got a lot of experience fighting, and a lot of near-death experience of getting like pummeled by, villains as well. So, I mean, who knows what Krull's done, but he probably doesn't have that much experience seeing how much of a, pacifist his race is. So I can understand him getting pummeled like that.
And I like that, the fact that basically this is a totally one-sided fight. I mean, we've had a couple of quote-unquote dragon versus dragon fights over the last couple of years, And most of the, like in particular, Dark Dragon versus Kerr, that was like an entire issue fight scene. Whereas this one is just Dragon just whoops him without barely breaking a sweat. And I think, that makes a lot of sense considering Dragon's experience and Krull's inexperience and youth and idealism.
Right.
And the fact that he's probably, like you said, they don't want to go down to any planet with any life. So when's he really had a chance for any conflict?
Right.
He's probably not done anything.
Granted, Kerr was pretty ruthless and deadly, and he must have learned it somewhere. But granted, he may have just been a psychopath and killed people for fun, and that's where he learned to kill people. But anyway, Krull gets his ass beat, and Dragon, it's kind of timely about this issue. I'm pretty sure that was planned. Dragon gets all up on his soapbox about how things are and how they can be politically and religion-wise. He takes a couple of shots at religion, which, it's in Dragon's character. He has never been wanting to have any truck with organized religion.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was funny, him being the chosen one and all, tearing down their religion.
Yeah, they're all shocked.
It was like, you got to wonder, it's like, it does appear to be, like, do they all have healing factors and incredible aim and these things you see Dragon do? Or is that just the chosen one?
I'm pretty sure it's implied it's a genetic trait of chosen ones and his bloodline. Because really it's just him, Malcolm, and Krull, who all share the same blood type. Everyone else has ordinary human physiques. I guess that's supposed to be the telling thing. Granted, they're aliens, so you don't really know if they have any kind of healing factor naturally.
Yeah, I wonder if Eric's ever gonna kind of expand on that.
I don't know. I've always kind of got the implication that the ordinary dragons are no better than ordinary humans.
Yeah, they might just be like the superheroes of, the dragon world. Great Grandpa Dragon was blasted by some kind of cosmic ray.
It's just funny if, you imagine, if Jesus came back and was like, "Hey guys, come on, you need to just start thinking."
Yeah.
Democracy.
Well, it's interesting you say that because more than likely that would be the case if Jesus came back. Is that basically saying, "What the fuck, guys"?
That's kind of what you get this issue, though. And I think that's maybe a part of the hypocrisy of Krull. He calls Krull a hypocrite. It's funny too because he even brings up, he's like, "There's a book and people wrote it a long time ago, and you just live by it." And it's all stuff we really kind of get in this issue.
Yeah.
They didn't mention that in the previous issues, right?
No.
No.
Not really. Yeah. Well, they've mentioned their pacifistic ways are a tradition handed down. Well, of course, Dragon in that particular scene is specifically referencing the Christian Bible on Earth. He's talking about another book that was written a long time ago that people follow blindly, etc., etc. So he's using it as a example of how blind obedience to a old text can lead to ruin. But that's Dragon for you. He tells it how it is, or how he perceives it anyway.
Basically, they got that panel too. They go back to flash back to Earth, and you see the corpse of all God, and then it's like God is dead. He just got wasted.
That's pretty funny, especially coming off of Dragon's little tear there.
Yeah. So, the whole human race has just witnessed, what they believe to be God just bombed by a plane and a corpse laying there. So I wonder how that's going to play out. I wonder if, so that's all God is. Are the gods like Hercules and Thor and everyone going to revolt against the humans for what they did? Is all God just kind of like a combination of a bunch of gods and just kind of like a spiritual form of them? So is it really a physical being, or is it, just a manifestation? I don't know. I guess it appears to be a physical being because there's blood in the water and it's all mutilated.
Gods in the book have always been, very... They can be affected in an extremely mortal way, like Hercules getting his arms ripped off.
Yeah.
And, so
Thor getting his eyes poked out.
There you go, But it's kind of like, this seems to me like just the extreme case of this. You would think of All God as kind of, untouchable. Yeah, there he is, though. Big bloody sack.
Yeah. So they kind of flash back to that, and I wonder what's going to go on with that. And we get another page of Malcolm and Rex talking about the cleanup. So we can see the aftermath of the invasion, and I guess, this has got to be worldwide, a big mess.
I find it interesting that Malcolm basically says millions are dead, but that the attack only lasted for all 6 hours.
Yeah.
Was there, I feel like there was a page to indicate it was a global attack.
Yeah, I think it was mentioned somewhere in the last issue or the issue before that this was happening worldwide.
Yeah.
Right. And superheroes couldn't stand up to these things, so you could only assume that, like, if they were taking out superheroes, they were probably greasing humans left and right.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And we saw that with what's his name, the bully.
Oh yeah, Spoon. Rest in peace.
Yep.
We see Overlord kind of flying over the carnage. We see some of the Dreadheads, and then we see Fish Face, who's finally come to his end.
Guy with the 3 eyes.
Yeah.
And he's been along. I feel like he's been around a bit.
He was in the bar scenes of the gang war issues in the 20s. I think he appeared in like around one issue in the 40s and one issue, like issue 70 or something like that.
Is Mole Eyes there? Is he he seems new maybe? I don't feel like I've seen him a ton.
I don't know. Eric's got so many characters. I started to look on the wiki to see if I could remember. That's on the Savage Dragon wiki, and I can't remember if I've seen him before. Gavin Higginbotham will have to fill those in on the forum.
Overlord must be getting soft. He didn't just blow him away.
It's pure balls to throw a rock at Overlord.
Yeah, you got to pretty much be done with everything to do that.
Yeah.
Nailed him in the head too, and then runs. He's got the glowing glove, man. You don't want to see that thing glow. It means you're done.
Last thing you see.
But he spared him. I mean, I guess it's funny with this issue. I mean, I guess he does it all the time, but like, the little things that happen, they're telling. Mm-hmm. Like for him to he didn't finish the job, I mean, the guy's back's to him. He could have just blown a hole in him.
Right.
Or decapitated him. The guy gets away. It's kind of not a very Overlordy kind of thing.
And it's not. I don't think it's your typical Overlord. It'll be interesting to find out who it is, but I get the feeling like maybe you gave this guy a break. He's seen enough carnage for a day. It's like.
I am hoping beyond hope we finally get the revealing of Overlord next issue.
I mean, you see just what he says in the first couple of panels. He's like, nothing but death and destruction as far as the eye can see. The aliens are gone, but at what a price, So he's like...
Who is he talking to?
Yeah, he's talking to himself.
It's
Must
Overlord.
Voice monologue.
That seems like something that could have been a thought bubble.
Yeah. Do you think maybe with the taking away of the titles, the title pages, and like you said, this would have made a fine thought balloon. You think maybe he's trying to push more towards sort of old school, he had those rules and then he broke them all.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this issue has, I want to say 2-3 splash pages, and they're all full bleeds.
Yep.
I think he's finally done with the panels for splash pages as well. So I could totally see him getting rid of thought balloons completely.
Yeah, I think he just does what he wants. I mean,
yeah, whatever. It'll be back next issue, as far as we know.
Yeah, they could be back. I don't know. He's been so random that I'm not gonna say that he's done.
I'm not gonna complain.
But I like this. I like the way the layouts of these panels are in this issue. Maybe it has something to do with that's how the first 75 issues were.
I'll second that. I loved Savage World for what it was or whatever, but it's cool. It's cool to see some of the old conventions come back.
Definitely.
Full bleed. I mean, it looks great.
It does. It just, I don't know. I think I mentioned another one that just full bleed just makes things bigger, I guess. And I prefer that personally.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that next page. I like the dumpy dragon characters, like
That's why my assumption that they're just like ordinary people with fins on their head. I mean, you got the guy with the fat face, the freckle face.
Yeah, it's like the Jimmy Olsen dragon.
There's a guy that looks kind of like Beavis.
He kind of does, doesn't he?
A little bit, he's hideous.
He does, doesn't he? He's got the kind of the eyes.
I want Eric to draw like a short, stout dragon. Like a fatty.
You got to think. I mean, he's out there. It'll be cool to see. I mean, it's funny. It's like they've got a place where they live now, and he knows where it is. And space travel's not out of the question. It'll be cool to see these people. Will they pop up? Did he get Lorella pregnant? I don't know. It'd be cool to see where it goes. It's a great addition to the toolbox, different things he can do, places he can take it.
Or is he going to go back and they're going to be gone?
Yeah.
A mystery.
He also indicated, I think at some point that, there could still be, I don't know the name of the race that it feels so dumb. I just read that entire Alien Invasion arc and I couldn't tell you what the name of the race
the
Turanian Combine or whatever. Yeah, it sort of was thrown out there that they might still be, a few poking around.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were, if I understand correctly, they were like a multi-planet empire. I mean, they only wiped them out on one planet.
Right.
Yeah, and saved Earth. They didn't get them all, I don't think. We get that funny little scene in this issue where Malcolm confronts Angel about her request.
You'd have to ask too. You'd want to know.
Yeah, and basically it's just like she's beyond embarrassed.
I was being a stand-up guy before, but I mean, now that everything's cool.
And so you wonder how what that's going to do to their relationship, if that's going to drive them apart or what.
Yeah, that's probably something I'm most interested in, and is where their relationship is going to go from here. It's just gotten it's already a complicated relationship, being siblings and all, and with different biological parents and whatnot, and their dad being dead. But you got to wonder what Dragon. Well, I guess I won't spoil the fact that 2 pages later, Dragon is coming back to Earth. Whoops.
You bastard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm seriously curious. I know before the invasion started, Angel had been talking to Frank Jr. about going abroad to Europe with him.
Forget about that.
If this may accelerate their plans to get the hell out of Dodge, get some space. We'll see.
I forgot about that.
Doesn't Malcolm still have his girlfriend though?
You haven't seen her for a while, and
no, she broke up with him. That's right. She got freaked out because he burned that guy's face off.
That's right.
What was that guy with the American mullet guy? What was his name?
Oh, crap.
Warren Terror.
Warren Terror. That's right. He burned he blew his head up, and it freaked out his girlfriend.
So, and this issue kind of took me by surprise because, Dragon beats Krull, then says, we got to set up an election, then wins the election, and then is like, all right, I won, but now I'm out of here. Like, you guys see how this election stuff works. Now work it out among yourselves. I don't really belong here. See ya.
Democracy.
That's Dragon for you. Throw a monkey wrench into everything and just go with your gut.
I mean, he finally found his race of people and, helping them out. I guess, he is a father of, Angel and Malcolm, so.
Yeah, he's got responsibilities at home. I mean, he can't I mean, he helped him out as best he can and tried to teach him a few things along the way, but they got to fly on their own.
Still weird. You would think he would help him like set up shop.
I don't know. I think Dragon is, smarter than that. He knows that he's actually him being around is actually probably a worse influence than him not being around, because they're always going to see him as the chosen one leader, because that's what their scripture tells him to do. So now that he bails on them, it like forces them to rely upon themselves.
Right.
Yeah, it feels like the election thing was basically to let you know that as long as he was around, they probably wouldn't move on.
Yeah,
Right.
they would just follow anything he says.
Right. So, like, for him to actually leave, and kind of, abandon him, it is kind of like, well, now you gotta move on.
Yeah. And it's funny because, Dark Lord's kind of lingering behind, and you're never quite comfortable with Dark Lord. You don't know what his motives are. He's helped Dragon multiple times. He's also,
Killed Dragon at least 2-3 times.
You still don't know if, his motives are pure or what's going on.
He's usually self-serving. I mean,
Yeah. He freaks me out as a character.
That's the thing. You say self-serving, but I almost get the impression that everything he's ever done is actually for the quote-unquote greater good. He's kind of like Dragon in a lot of respects, is that he'll do anything to whatever his altruistic goals are, he'll do anything to achieve them.
Yeah.
Kill anyone, destroy any world, whatever, as long as whatever he's doing eventually leads to whatever his desired outcome is. And I think we're supposed to get the impression that his desired outcome is some form of stability and peace, not necessarily with him as a ruler. At least that's the impression I've always got.
He's always like hanging in the shadows, kind of.
Right, and it's just that his methods are just so extreme.
Yeah.
It's just that that's what makes him the villain. And like you said, because he's always in the shadows and he's so dangerous, you never get you always get the feeling that there's always something sinister behind what he's doing, and anything can happen with him. He's like unpredictable.
This version, I guess it's the teen version of
hoodie.
Lord. He always has his like jeans, sneakers, and hoodie, and it cracks me up because it's like, how long have they been out in space? Dragon's kind of got his space clothes. Everyone's got space clothes, and Dark Lord just sticks with his hoodie and jeans and sneakers.
It's hilariously inappropriate. Especially like, again, just jumping ahead a little bit, but the splash page of him flying through space just in street clothes.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I don't know. It's funny. It works.
See, I love it. See, that's one of the main things I love about Dragon as a character, is that he doesn't wear a quote-unquote costume, is that he basically fights in whatever he's wearing. And I think that's kind of a theme that runs through a lot of Savage Dragon, is you don't always have time to put on special clothing when things are happening. So in this case, we have Overlord flying in space in a hoodie.
It is funny to see. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all I was about to say. It's just
saying, it is funny to see Dragon in a costume and Overlord just in street clothes.
Yeah.
Total role reversal.
It is.
What did you guys think of that last page? What's your feeling of what's going on there?
Full bleed.
Well, before we jump to that, can I just say, I thought the I'm 50 was a bit of a bombshell.
That's true, yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't even skip over that. That is...
It was subtle, because you don't think that... But even for him to say the words that he was past his prime when the series started, it's kind of cool, because it like shows you like, what's the future hold for Malcolm.
Right.
See, I don't know. I think it's kind of weird just for him to say he was quote unquote past his prime, because it's now been established he's an alien. His physiology isn't the same as a human, so who's to say their prime isn't 20 years later?
Yeah, maybe he doesn't know what his prime is. He's just basing it on human.
That's my thought on the matter. I mean, and the fact of the matter is he's super strong, he's superhuman, he's got a healing factor. I highly doubt he's going to be lagging behind for the next 100 years, let alone now that he's 50.
I mean,
shoot 200 prunes.
It could work both ways for Malcolm, because he's half human, so he could end up being weaker than Dragon.
That's true.
Or
That's a good point.
He might not be in his prime yet and be stronger than Dragon.
It'd be cool if he was stronger than Dragon ever was.
Yeah. And have those little lightning powers, too, on top of that.
Well, that might be
That's
the great
so
equalizer. Maybe he's physically weaker than Dragon, but the lightning powers compensate.
Yeah, who knows? But
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I had to jump back to it. Sorry.
no, I was just saying, how did you guys interpret that last page? Because I interpreted it one way at first, and then when I was reading the boards, like, it made me think another way.
How did you interpretate it first?
At first, I just thought it was like Dark Lord flying ahead of the ship, guiding the way.
Yeah.
And Dragon just being like, great, now he's got no one to talk to. But then on the boards, people were like, well, it's him just kind of escaping off the ship, going back to the planet or something, and just leaving Dragon alone.
Yeah, I think I interpreted it as Dark Lord abandoning Dragon. Now that I look at it again, it does seem like he's flying ahead of the ship. So my assumption is he's headed to Earth first.
That's how I felt. I didn't get any kind of intent off of it. It didn't seem sinister, like, uh-oh. It just was like, well, he's abandoned, but clearly he's trying to get to Earth first. That's how I felt.
Yeah, I just thought maybe Dragon was saying great because he's got no one to talk to, and Dark Lord's just kind of flying in front of him. But I don't know. I correct me if I'm wrong. It sounded like some people on the boards were saying like he's kind of just ditched Dragon and.
It's evident that the way Dragon's talking to him, he's a lot more, chill with like this Overlord. Like, when he first sees him, he's like trying to choke him.
Right.
And everybody's like, no, don't do it. He saved you. And now, like here at the end of this issue, he's like, well, let's go, blah, blah, blah. Like kind of like talking to, somebody he at least can tolerate.
Maybe Dark Lord's just annoyed with Dragon's constant stream of sarcasm. Talking about did he pack his toothbrush, stuff like that. Because that sounds like a trip with Dragon would involve a lot of that sort of rhetorical ribbing.
Yeah.
Wisecrackery, exactly. If I hear Dunderhead one more time.
You milksop.
And so that ends the main part of the story. I enjoyed it.
I want to browbeat everyone and even say, disappointed myself. I'm in the camp of people who felt sad when they saw that letters page.
Oh my.
Yeah. The letters page completely blank.
Eaten by the crisis wall.
That's it.
When I talked to Eric, he said the funny thing is, 179 didn't have any letters, but 180 did.
It's good to know.
Yeah. And then he said he's definitely got letters now.
That's cool. That's good.
Well, he showed us the future, you see. We're all Ebenezer Scrooge. We've all learned our lesson.
Yeah.
Exactly. Showed us our tombstone.
I didn't think about it, but next time I go to comic convention, I'm going to have him do a sketch on this page.
Well, that's my first thought, is perfect sketch page.
Mine, too. I was like, this would be the bomb page to get whatever drawn on it.
Yeah. I was telling him, too, that, he's never done a Savage Dragon, variant that was just like a sketch dragon, which would be cool. Just to have.
I like those.
Yeah, one of those, like a blank cover with just the logo.
And then I don't know. I think those are kind of gimmicky. I don't know. I mean, there's a reason. I mean, I get why you'd want one to have a custom cover.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not something I would buy, but that's just me.
Yeah, but if you were at like a convention, because he always does like free head sketches, it would be awesome to have one.
True.
If you've seen those decked out, they are awesome when they have something on them. It is cheap to just have it be blank, but like when they're decked out, it's fantastic.
Yeah, the funniest things are when you see like, Avengers versus X-Men ones or something in that vein, and then there's like Savage Dragon's face in the middle of it.
The inappropriate sketch.
Yeah.
Fear itself, and it's like Aunt May.
All right, let's talk about Vanguard real quick. It's it's been a while since we read Vanguard too. I got to remember what happened last issue. Picks up where last issue left off. I believe last issue Wally blew up the ship and him along with it.
Right.
And so Vanguard's having a little bit of trouble dealing with that. I think the other Calyptus military guy is eager to get back home to salvage what he can, but Vanguard is not in no hurry to leave.
Yeah, it's Baracus and Thram are the Calyptans, so Baracus is
Well, there you go. There's two survivors right there, so
yeah.
Just got to find a Calyptus woman, and they're all set.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess they're going down to Earth to refuel or something, or get some food or whatever, and they're going to travel back.
Yeah, they've repurposed one of the Tyrrhenian ships to replace the satellite they lost as their way of getting home.
And it kind of brings up the question of what's, Vanguard going to do with, Roxanne still staying on Earth.
Who's apparently, because she has first-hand knowledge of what happened up in orbit, is becoming, like, world famous.
Right.
So she's not going anywhere. So what's Vanguard gonna do? But as they fly the ship into the atmosphere to refuel or whatever, they get the attention of none other than Aetherian.
Dun dun dun.
Who I believe we haven't actually seen him since the backup story that ran way back in what does this footnote say? 145 through 149, 159.
That's what I see.
Because he didn't appear in the first Vanguard story, right? It was trying to think. Although he may have had a one-panel appearance, but that may have been the Savage Dragon story.
I feel like this is his first real appearance here.
Yeah, I'm thinking that may be the case. This may be his first return appearance. But basically, he's reacting to the fact that they're flying a Tyrrhenian ship into his airspace, and he wants to stick it to him real good. So he's up there tearing the ship apart, and then he attempts to punch what's his name?
I can't remember his name either. It's a short name. Big muscle-bound guy that's traveling with Vanguard's crew. Anyway, I know what you're talking about.
Right. Aetherian's impressed that he can take a punch to the head, and the big guy is impressed because he could feel it.
Right. And he recognizes Vanguard. Vanguard kind of stops him, and everything simmers down. And they go back to Aetherian's little powerhouse, which is kind of like his Castle Grayskull, I guess, where the source of his power is. It was all the whole backstory of Aetherian is in that Savage Dragon backup 145 to 159. So we don't have to go through it all here, but it is kind of funny. It seems like Gary Carlson is just trying to tie in all of the characters that were in Vanguard's universe together in this, in this backup.
Yeah, he's really brought everything together, at least just to get a nod that it all exists in the same general world.
Yeah, which kind of freaks me out is, are we seeing the chapter close on Vanguard and, is this like the last hurrah and he's going to go back into space because he's not needed out here anymore or what? Right.
I don't know. It's one of those big question marks that really makes you excited to see what happens next. Whether or not he'll stay, just to be around, or he'll go and have his next adventure, whether or not we see it or not.
Right.
It's cool. I don't know. I did get that feeling of closure too, and it is cool to see, like I said, stuff like that progress.
Yeah, and to get an end of a tale, if that is so.
Yeah, what I always say when there's stories that matter, finger quotes. I mean, these are creator-owned characters, so, anything could happen, and it could be final.
Right.
And So Aetherian drops the bombshell that there was a survivor from the ship explosion, and, of course, Vanguard's getting his hopes up that Wally found a way to teleport off at the last second. Gets taken into Powerhouse, and the big reveal is that it's Modem, not Wally.
And she's all messed up. She's in shock or something. So
yeah, head's got scrambled or something. I'm trying to remember if she was hooked up to something when the ship exploded. I think she was. Yeah.
I can't remember last issue. That was like 5 years ago, wasn't
Yeah.
It's all a haze of fighting.
it? But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Wally really did survive or not. I mean, it's hard for me to think of Vanguard comic without Wally in it.
Yeah.
Modem's body is not really Modem's body, so could be Wally in there. You never know.
It's a theory I've heard is that maybe Wally is in her body or something. It's definitely
to be sexy.
Yeah.
Not, I don't know. They were buddies. Wally didn't have a gender, right? But they were kind of like bros, him and Vanguard.
Yeah.
You don't want your bro to get a sex change like that.
Yeah. So that's Vanguard in a little more than a nutshell.
Yep. Another good installment, moves things along. I think we got, 2 more, or is next issue the final?
I think there's 2 more.
2 more. That's right, it got extended for another 2.
Yeah. It's going to be sad when that series is over.
Yeah, I really hope it gets collected. I think it'd be a really good time to collect. It'd be a nice trade collection would include the Vanguard Ethereum one-shot, Ethereum and Vanguard, just to put it all together.
Yeah. Yep.
All the Frank Fosco drawn.
I was flipping through back issues and saw like Savage Dilbert.
Yeah.
Collected.
Savage Dragonbird. Yeah, I've got that.
Dragonbird.
That's actually really cool. Hilarious.
It's just cool. Like sometimes the backups get collected.
Yeah.
That's one of the nicer collections too, because it's got everything, and it's just so kind of cool just to have it all in one place.
Yeah, they collected that Mighty Man serial by Mark Englert, and
that was a good one too.
And it was like collected into like a thicker comic style. It wasn't even like a trade.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed at the time that it wasn't square bound. I think I can live with it now.
Yeah. So yeah, great issue, good episode.
I was pleased.
I had a lot of fun talking to you guys about it.
So, what did you think, Raven? You enjoy doing this?
Yeah, I can't praise that book enough. I mean, really, there's just one of the few books on the market that really cares about being awesome monthly. I mean, a lot of books are told for the trade. So there's always something. There's always backups and extras. And it's awesome. Anytime I get to talk to other, Savage Dragon fans, it's awesome. And hopefully people will hear it. I know I'm going to be pimping and promoting. I try to anyway. But I'll be trying to promote. Maybe me being here will get some people to listen to like my stupid voice. They like to hear me talk. I'm normally just words on a screen. So
yeah.
And Pimp, it really is a book. Like I have a buddy that like another comic artist that's like busts my chops, and he's like, "Oh, you're the #1 fan," and I'm like, "No, man, that's Gavin."
Yeah.
Like, you don't know nothing. I'm not. I was like. There's a reason you should be reading this book.
Right.
So it's cool. It's good to help promote, what I think is pretty much the best book, printed.
Definitely.
Yep.
Cool.
Well, certainly good to have you on board, and I hope to have you on again.
Likewise.
Thanks for having me.
So next episode, we're looking at either probably covering the Savage Dragon 182. Who knows when that will come out? Hopefully more regularly.
I think we've said that every episode.
Yeah.
You saw the tweet. You saw the tweet that says 184 is getting worked on. Quote, shit's getting done.
Yeah, that's cool.
Good sign.
Yeah.
Things are getting done. That's awesome.
So for the 182 solicitation, it says, Overlord triumphant, Overlord is back, and it's up to Malcolm Dragon and Angel to bring him in. Are they up for the task? The answer will shock you. And the cover, we've all seen is Overlord grabbing Angel kind of by the hair and just like swatting Malcolm out of the way. So it looks like we're going to see another showdown with Overlord and maybe get his identity. Who knows?
Please let that mask come off.
Yeah.
My theory has been stewing for about 4 years now. Got to see if I was right.
And then we have Supreme 67, which is the next Supreme issue and the second to last of Erik's run. And that's solicited as Supreme Madness. From the pages of Invincible comes the most requested Supreme opponent of all time. Enter Omni-Man. Supreme is out of control. Suprema is at death's door, and Ethan Crane is in a bad way. Can even Omni-Man hope to save the day? And that's where we see the cover of Omni-Man squaring off against Supreme, which should be pretty cool.
That is going to be a barn burner. It's going to be awesome.
And I think this is the issue where, well, the rest of these issues where Corey Hampshire actually is taking over all of the art, whereas in the other issues he was, drawing over the layouts.
Right. I'm curious if that's changed now. They've changed the what's going to happen with the final issue.
Yeah. On a side note too, and I'll shut up after this, talking to Eric at Baltimore, I was asking him about that, and he said that Eric did plot out a lot of those pages, and he gave them to Corey, and Corey didn't end up using his layouts. He ended up laying out a lot of the pages, not plotting. He plotted and laid it out, but he gave Corey a lot of the layouts, and Corey didn't use it. So part of the reason why he wasn't doing the layouts anymore is that Corey was just doing it himself. So he's got all these layouts that weren't used, and he was saying he might end up incorporating it into the Savage Dragon book.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so that might be cool. We might see like a Supreme versus Savage Dragon.
That was my. Can I just be selfish and say, when I heard Supreme was ending prematurely, that was probably like why my heartstrings tugged the most, because I was just like, I knew it was coming. If the book ran a full year, you knew Dragon was going to be popping up in that book too.
Right.
So I was looking forward to that. So hopefully we'll get to see something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So I think we've rambled on forever. So
yes.
I think we should wrap this up. This has been the Savage FINcast. Hope you join us again next time.
So long.
Thanks a lot.
The Savage FINcast is a part of the Gutter Trash Network and the Image Addiction family of podcasts, and can be found at either fincast.guttertrash.net or imageaddiction.net.